Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fun episode of 1000 Gurus with me, your host, J.R. Yona Cruz. Today's guest is Alex Hung. Alex is the chief of staff at a startup that provides back office solutions for property managers, focusing on business enablement and strategy to grow the business and unlock operational challenges. He loves debating with friends to challenge his ideas and opinions, and his best friend is a white and gray Shih Tzu, Teddy. So this was another fun episode with a fellow Kappa Modern alumni dance teammate from college. Alex Hung and I don't get to catch up much between the years, but it was nice to chop it up about his career journey, insider tips as someone who used to work in HR and now works more in operations. We also talk about money management tips, and then finally landed on the topic of dating and what he's learned over the years about understanding women. It was a very fun conversation, and actually the last in my Kappa Modern series before we do our special 5-person reunion episode with our class. So without further ado, hope you enjoyed this episode with Alex Hung. Hello everyone, and welcome back to 1000 Gurus. Please welcome my guest, Alex Hung.
Hey,
Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know you are not too far, so I'm glad that we were able to schedule this out. Yeah, and then so for those of you who don't know, Alex is, I was going over the stats with him right before recording, but he is the third Alex on my show. He's the fourth person of my Cobble Modern class, and he's the sixth person who I've had who was on Cobble Modern.
Yeah.
And probably like the 30th dancer, if I were to take stats.
Yes.
So, yeah, so we have some good stats there. So let me just go into how I know you. So just similar to June, Alex Cristal, and Ken, we met during our first year on Cobble Modern at UCI in 2010, right?
Yeah.
I was a first year, you were a second year, I believe, and you were also a fellow freestyler. You were doing locking, and I was like a freestyle popper. And so we danced together for a couple years, and we, similar to, again, the other three, we see each other about like once a year for our class socials, like Christmas or something June related, like her going away, coming back, graduating, coming back again, getting married. So yeah, and you live in Buena Park, right? And you have your own place, and you have 2 cars, such a flex. And you have a dog named Teddy, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're also from the Bay Area, just like myself, correct? And again, I had to stalk you for this. So you have a degree in public health science, right?
So useful.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I mean, same poli-sci. Like, I don't do anything with that. Let's see. And I know you used to work in HR, but now your title right now is chief of staff. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's right.
Nice. Cool. So now that we have that out of the way, or sorry, any clarifications?
No. You got it.
Anything else you're up to?
Bang on.
No? Okay.
Nothing.
And you also went to Japan and Taiwan recently, right?
I did. Just like everyone else.
Just like everyone else,
I
yeah.
was going to Japan.
Yeah. I went last September, like I mentioned, and I'm going back in September, October. So we're all just basic following the crowd. So
Gotta take advantage before they raise the tourist prices.
Yeah, and all the tariffs. Cool. Let's go into the first video, Solomon, if you don't mind. With the wiggles. So yes, Alex is the green, I'm the blue. This is from Zoolander, Jitterbug. This is Alex's choreography. And then here's my butterfly twist. And that's it. Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Solomon.
All right.
Yeah, so that was Alex's choreo, my butterfly twist, and I think I contributed like 4 counts to that intro, like to the Jitterbug, something like that. It was probably that, something like that. But anyways, that set was super fun.
Yeah, choreographed that with John.
Yeah, it was super fun.
And,
I liked it a lot.
And there was another part, the whacking part later. Who did that? Can't remember right now.
Whacking?
Maybe it was
it Amy? Yeah.
It's probably Amy.
Probably. I mean, who else would it, or Jenny?
I forget.
Okay, it's one of the whackers. One of the whackers.
Yeah, that was fun.
Just wanted a little throw in our history lore there. That was like what, 13 years ago, 14, something like that. Cool. All right, you ready for our first topic?
Yes.
All right. So as usual, first topic is always origin story. So like, where did you grow up? What was like your career path, and like main influences that kind of led you to where you are today? I know it's like a big, like 30 plus years of life, but you could point to the main influences that got you to where you are today.
That's too broad.
Okay. Where'd you grow up?
Where'd I grow up? I grew up mostly in NorCal. Yeah.
What were your like aspirations when you were like younger?
Truthfully, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just I think I was very driven by music when I was starting middle school. I picked up drums, and I thought that drums were the way to get girls because music's cool and the coolest instrument. I probably should have picked up guitar in hindsight, but drums I thought was way cooler. Yeah, you
hey girl, come here.
You can't carry it around.
Let me pick you up, girl.
It doesn't really work. So I started the drum thing, and then that's where I think I put a lot of my creative energy in middle school, and then I also did it in high school with drumline. And then afterwards, I went to UCI, and there was no drumline because there was no football team at UCI, which was bizarre. So I didn't really know where to take that, and so I danced in college with you. Yeah.
So then how did you choose public health sciences? And what did your parents have anything about what you should be getting into?
Okay, yes. So in college, the main thing is what should I major in so that I have a career after this? And truthfully, I didn't really know or care. I just knew I needed to make money and I needed to have a life that I could afford the things that I wanted. So I think in college I didn't get a lot of direction because no one went to college in my family previously. If anything, maybe like a little bit of community college is all. But I thought that the hardest major or majors would be the ones that also meant it would be a higher paying job, which now in hindsight is not true whatsoever.
Like what? Like which ones?
You would always think, well, I thought that bio, chem, computer science, that's partly true. Computer science worked. But bio and chem, those types of degrees did not really yield a great job market after. You're either working in a lab or
like research or something.
Right. It's kind of narrow.
So those are the harder, quote unquote, harder majors.
It was very difficult. I tried to go for bio initially, a biology major, because I thought that was very hard. I wanted to challenge myself. But it came to a point where I had to switch in order to graduate on time because I spent a little bit too much time dancing. Yeah.
As we all do.
Yeah. So I just switched to whatever I could to graduate on time. And honestly, after college, I realized that the major you have doesn't matter at all, which is why, college is so useful.
Yeah. That's one of our later topics too.
Yeah.
So then you switched into public health sciences to graduate on time. And then at that point, well, I guess one thing, did your parents really care or what were their thoughts on that at that point? Because I think people going to college, at least Asian households, it's usually like they tell us what to do, right? I don't know if it was like that for you.
I think because they don't have the experience, they weren't able to give an opinion.
Okay.
The main thing was make sure you graduate, make sure that the money I was fortunate enough that they were supporting me through school. I didn't have to pay for it myself. So thank you, the equity from my house that they pulled out for that. Can't thank them enough because debt is really rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just made sure that I graduated on time. And really it came after, right? Okay, just make sure you get a job after and try to work on your career. I think they focus a lot more on that.
I see.
Yeah.
So they just try to build a career, be successful, but just find your own path.
Yeah. They weren't too nitpicky about, you have to be a doctor or you have to be a lawyer. I think at one point I thought, I should be a doctor. And it was a lot more than I think people usually anticipate. Yeah. It's just a very difficult road. And so I think my interest level just wasn't high enough for me to get through it. Yeah.
Okay, so you graduated public health sciences. Then what was the next step after that?
So what job should I get out of college? And then the crazy thing is, right, you go back to college and you say, what major should I have done for the job? After I graduated, I still had no idea. I just wanted to get a job and I had to pay rent, right? So it actually took a little bit of time before I could find anything. It was tough to find a job out of college, at least for me. And I just ended up, this is so embarrassing. I did get the job because of an introduction that my mom had with a client of hers. So I didn't even get the job myself.
That's kind of how it is, though. Like it's connections and networking and sprinkle a little bit of nepotism in there.
Yeah, it was a terrible place.
Oh, yeah.
It was a Chinese company. It was a very much button seat. If you're not in your seat, you're not working. The pay was horrible. I felt like I didn't have to go to college for that job. But the first job was an HR associate.
Okay.
And I didn't even know what HR was. But at the time, I just thought, I'm good with people and I'm a good problem solver. I can mediate, I can mediate conversations. And at the time, AI wasn't a thing, but I thought, oh, there's longevity in this because if you're an engineer, everyone wants to hire a younger and younger engineer because they're a lot faster at doing things. And as you age, you slow down. And I thought, okay, well, but with HR and people, your experience actually should help you as you age, not the other way around. So I thought it would be a career with longevity. But after 8 years, I felt like that I wouldn't want to do it anymore, actually. So
Okay, so then HR, and then you felt like that there was some longevity there. And so what was the next step after that? Was it just you stayed there? Did you move around? What were your goals at that point?
Well, the pay was terrible.
Yeah.
The
goal was
I had to make
more
money.
Yeah.
So early on in my first job, I think I met some amazing people in my first job that really shaped who I am today. I think one takeaway was how cheap I was. Okay, I'm kind of this is a tangent.
Go for it.
But I was super, super cheap because I was so frugal. Like in college, my parents paid for college, so I didn't want to spend their money. I felt very responsible for everything, so I didn't want to make their lives any harder than it needed to be. So I was super frugal. And when I started working, I was hoping that when I made my own money, I could be less frugal. But maybe I could be that way with myself, but it was hard to do that for others, right? So people who are less frugal would say, let me buy you a meal. Let me buy you a gift. Let me show my thanks in this way. I really wasn't able to do that because I was a penny pincher. I wanted to make sure that everything was split fairly because I knew how hard it was to make a dollar because I was also making no money. But at my first job, there was this guy named Andy who always treated me out to lunch, probably more than once a week. And we'd always go out. And he wasn't that much older than me. I'd say maybe he's like 6 to 10 years older than me, but not a whole lot at the time. And I knew how much he made because I processed payroll. And he didn't make that much more. But every single time, I'm like, why are you paying for me? He said, I know that I make more than you, and it makes me happy to be able to provide this for you if it makes you happy. And it was a concept that I didn't understand. I was like, what do you mean it makes you happy to spend your money on me? Like, what is this? People have never done that for me before. And I think over time, it rubbed off on me where I started to try what he was doing and seeing how I felt. And I would start like showing my appreciation for my friends by treating them to things every now and then, even though it was very difficult in the beginning. But over time, it's become a lot more commonplace for me. And I think that's where it started. So that was one tangent of a thing.
Yeah, no, I like that. So you're saying it was a good lesson that you learned from someone who was older than you of like how do I say this? Not necessarily, I don't want to say just generosity, but like how to approach money in a different way that you were used to.
Yeah, my view of money was very different. I thought it was for yourself.
Right.
Money is for yourself.
Right.
It's meant to be kept. It's meant to be saved. It's meant to be cherished. But not giving it away, but sharing it brings you joy as well. And that was really odd at the time.
Yeah, I get that because it's not intuitive at the surface level of that giving necessarily has a positive ROI. Because it's like the math is basically you subtract money, right?
Yeah.
But
and money equals happiness.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, money equals happiness. But then when you go down the route that you were saying, you learn this new perspective. I also subscribe to that don't discount the amount of actual like soft ROI that has on you, your networks, the people around you, of that abundance, generosity mindset. I found that whether or not I have a lot of money or a little bit, the act of giving or the mindset of giving, it creates more in that act for you and for the people around you. And then that could have a ripple effect. Like I have like friends who are younger than me who I treat out to. And it's your story where I'm happy to give. And I'm at a point where like I have a budget to give. And I know that not only makes me happy, but it makes them happy. And I tell them like, I don't need anything from you. But if you ever find yourself in the same situation as I am, feel free to pass that along to the next person, like give that person to someone else. And I feel like that has a bigger ROI than maybe I should just save this $20 for myself.
Yeah.
So I like
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. So what else did you learn on that journey of, so I know you seem like you enjoy your career now, but from there, from your low paying job that you hated, and then you met this coworker, what were the points that kind of got you to where you are now, or like the lessons that you've learned along the way?
Yeah. So very early on, I knew that your money, how much money, how do I put this? There's some sort of velocity involved where the faster you make more money, the more it's worth it. Right? If you think about compounding interest, you obviously want more early and it equals a lot more later. You don't want to spread it out and have it compound slowly. So very early on in my career, I tried to get as many raises as I could as fast as I could. And so I would switch jobs every 2 years on average. This is probably the longest I've had a job, and I've been at this current job for a little over 3 years.
Wow.
So yeah,
UPR.
I'm not telling everyone to job switch, but I think there's definitely truth to it.
There's inherent value, right?
If you stay within the same company, you're gonna get on the low end no raise to maybe 2% annual raise, and then on the higher end, if you don't get a promotion, you'll maybe get 7%. And so if you think about that over time, how many years does it take you to get to 20% in a raise? Whereas if you switch jobs on average, you get 15 to 20%. So if you switch jobs enough times, then your pay just jumps over and over again. And there are times when it jumped like 40% from one job to the next, probably because I was just way too low before.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I tried to do really early on. And I can't say that I've been very successful, but I think I've been successful enough where it worked for me. I do think that loyalty in a company is sort of dead. I think if they take care of you, then yes. But if they don't take care of you, if you don't have opportunities, I would suggest that you probably look elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that a lot. That math is probably pretty eye-opening for some people because like you said, you can maybe max out a 2-3% raise each year and all this other stuff. But even for me and a guest of mine that I've had too is like when we switch jobs to like a similar but new title, our pay basically doubled. And so it's like you can do that when you go to different companies. And I agree with your sentiment of the whole like company loyalty. That's the thing of the past. And it's unfortunate. It'd be nice if we still had that in pensions and stuff. But the new economy of what we are today is that like you have to look out for yourself and you have to be able to get those pay increases. So I think that the math is really insightful.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were getting raises and pay increases. And then what was after that? Like you were staying in HR, right?
The idea was to build my career in HR and take it as high as I possibly can to say a C-level HR officer, right? But while I was on my way there, I think I just realized how much I didn't enjoy the work. It was a lot of people complaining. It was a lot of me feeling like I couldn't make the difference that I wanted to make. In HR, a lot of the times when you're in a higher position, what you end up doing is you're just managing layoffs all the time. And that's no fun. Yeah. It's not fun for anybody.
Just firing people.
Yeah. Granted, you shouldn't be the one firing them, but you're the one facilitating the process. And really that's worse in some ways because the volume, right? There's so many years that I just spent laying people off, giving people their paperwork, telling them what the offboarding process is and seeing people cry or seeing people get pissed. I don't want to surround myself with that negative energy all the time. I understand that it is a necessity for the company, but you don't want to spend all your time there. So yeah. So that's where it went. And then now I do see the other side of it now. So currently as a chief of staff, I do focus more on the overall health of the business. And so when you look at numbers, it's hard not to just say, oh, we're overspending in that department and it's because it's too many people. And then you also ask yourself all the time, how productive are these people? And I do want to just say that the current company that I'm working at, we're fully remote globally. There's no office. No one's there checking to see if you're doing your work. It's more so are we getting complaints from customers? Are you getting what we assigned you done in a manner that we think is acceptable? So it's a lot of self-motivation, self-management. And if people aren't doing that, then I have to think of, okay, well, how long do we want to pay for someone to not do what they're supposed to do?
Mm.
Yeah.
So then what's your, maybe it's not clear to me. So what's your like function? I get you said you look at the overall health of the company.
Yeah. So it's hard to describe. I do manage the HR side of things at the company still. So managing the day-to-day benefits, the payroll, the hiring process, that sort of stuff. But the other side of it is how profitable is the company? What are the areas that we need to improve on? Do we need to make cuts in certain areas or do we need to invest in certain areas? These are all things that I look into more in detail through a bunch of spreadsheets. And then I try to come up with a strategy and then implement the strategy after.
Okay.
So it sounds like a lot of corporate mumbo jumbo.
Right. No, I get it. So it's like you're allocating or kind of seeing the health in terms of like finances and where you guys can improve and whatnot, or make more efficient cuts or whatnot. So then I guess my question is in your role as going through HR and then now what you do now as like chief of staff, what are some of the biggest takeaways that you've learned in your career, I guess, in the functions that you've served? Or maybe advice you would give yourself?
Advice I would give myself.
Like someone going through, okay, I'm curious about HR or pursuing a similar career path as Alex Hung. Maybe what would you give that person like advice?
I don't really have great advice because I do feel like if you do HR, you could, of course, take that career path and go where you want it to go. There's a natural progression when you're in the corporate ladder. The way that I ended up where I'm at, I think someone has to take a flyer on you because when you work in HR, when you work at a lower level sort of independent contributor role, or even if you're a low level manager, you're just not exposed to the same topics and ways of thinking that maybe a CEO or someone like the VP level would think of. So in order for you to make that jump, someone kind of needs to just give you the chance. I've seen a lot of managers that I'm thinking about something and I'm trying to figure out a solution and they're just not giving me what I need from them. And at the end of the day, it's because they just don't think that way yet. And so it's not really advice. I think people just need to give people the chance to take that leap if you want to go up to upper management. And then for me, I think I got lucky because I was managing my current employer as a client and they just wanted to hire me because they felt like I worked really well with them back when I was like a third-party HR manager for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I started managing a service team at a SaaS company, which was a slight change from just the day-to-day HR stuff, right? It was more operational, it was more managerial. And then that's when I was able to make the jump to chief of staff, which is more operational and less HR focused.
Yeah. I see. Okay. So then I guess my last question on that is, were you just the level that you're at now of skill, were you just always like that? Or how did you develop that skill? I imagine I couldn't just jump into that role or anyone else, right?
At the end of the day, what I do is not that technical. It's all just problem solving. Because it was even hard to answer your question earlier when you said, well, what are you doing every day?
Yeah.
It's just whatever problems that are most prevalent for the business at that particular moment. And if no one is there to take care of it, I'm the one that has to go and figure it out.
Oh, I see.
And if I don't know how to solve for the problem, I have to find someone that can.
Dang. So you really like one of the last bucks of the problems go to you or something like that.
Yeah. I would say that I take all the shit.
Wow. That's why they pay you all the money for it, right?
No.
You're like, not enough.
Not enough.
Nice. Okay, let's switch over then. So now we're talking about career and colleges, but there's this one thing that you mentioned in the pre-show form, which was, quote unquote, college isn't necessary and is a waste of money. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah.
Not that I don't disagree. I'd just like to know what you mean.
Yeah, of course. So I majored in public health science and my career has nothing to do with public health science. And when we had the whole coronavirus thing. I didn't help. I didn't
You're
help
like,
at all. I didn't do anything.
My public health science did not science anything.
Yeah, I didn't science a single thing.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest problem is what you learn, at least in undergrad, and even, I mean, I don't have an educational background, right? I'm not a teacher or anything like that. But when you think of what you remember that you learned in middle school, high school, college, how much do you remember that you learned? And for me, not very much, because I also have a terrible memory. But what I wish I learned is the practical things that I do every day and the things that matter for life. So in terms of life, I would say money management, I think, is extremely important and relevant to every single person that is, at least in this economy, in this culture, right? You need to manage your money and you need to be able to do it successfully, or else it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're going to end up poor. So I wish that we learned about money and taxes and about how to maximize your return on anything that you have. So that's an interest that I have on the side because you don't learn it in school. So that's what I like to learn on my free time. And then you feel the reward from it in your bank account.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, quick tangent, because I put a call out to action. I always want to talk to someone about personal finance. What are some TLDR quick takeaways about personal finance and financial literacy that you can give to the audience about what you've learned about money?
The one you probably hear a lot, I don't know if people say this, just start as early as you can, because time is what makes you money. It's not because you're an amazing investor or anything like that. Just for me, it was about picking stocks and other investments that I felt like could stand the test of time, that are solid enough. I was a bit in a rush. So instead of, people always say, oh, just put in the S&P, just put in the S&P. Okay, yeah, but the S&P is too slow for me. So I don't do S&P. Sorry for all the S&P lovers out there. I go blue chip. Blue chip always helped me. What blue chip is your Amazons, your Apples, your Teslas. Not saying you should buy all of them, but there's certain ones out of those that I prefer and I feel like will stand the test of time, at least for the foreseeable future. And those are the ones that gave me the best return.
So invest in the stock market. And for you, it was blue chip, and do it early. Anything else on money that, let's say, not necessarily investing, but I guess like personal financial literacy?
Personal financial literacy. I think it's important to try and maximize the money that you already make. I kind of mentioned that. Take advantage of the high yield checking accounts. Okay. It's such a no-brainer thing. Take advantage of credit card programs. I mean, don't open up like 30 credit cards if you can't manage it. But there's some rewards that are very much worth it, and you could pool them and use them for different things instead of spending your cash. And also, don't spend above your means unless you really love the thing.
Yeah, unless you enjoy being poor.
Yeah, unless you enjoy being poor. Yeah.
Okay.
And buy, if you're a guy,
yeah,
and you like cars, buy the car you want before you settle down.
So to enjoy it,
so that you can buy it, because you might not be allowed to buy it.
Oh, because of being married,
or if you have other responsibilities in the future.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
interesting.
like it's better to buy it early if you can afford it, than to wait. Just buy your dream car.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
See, for me, I don't disagree with that. But for me, my dream car is a Lamborghini, so I have to save for that. But also,
you can't afford that.
Right, I know. But also, like they say how wealth is money you don't spend. And so I'm just playing the long game so that at that point, a Lamborghini is just a drop in the bucket. Like I'm not trying to have it be the whole bucket. Like even when I get there, I want to have the lake and then a bucket for the Lamborghini. But anyways,
some of us have smaller.
No,
lakes.
I agree.
My pond.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is much smaller than your Lamborghini.
Exactly. And I probably have a bigger threshold for delayed gratification than most other people, but that's just me.
I hope you do get your Lamborghini.
I will. I have faith. It'll happen.
Yeah.
I'm not worried. Okay. I want to go back to career really quick. There's some things maybe we won't touch on this, but like you mentioned a few things of not being promoted, being stuck, not getting raises, getting laid off, systems in place. What do you think are some, if you want to elaborate on any of those points? My question is really, what traps do you think people fall in, or what do you think people get wrong about navigating the career game?
For myself, maybe it's because I'm Asian, but at least my parents would just say, just do a good job and people will notice and they'll reward you for the good job that you do. That's very false, in my opinion. I don't think that works in the US corporate economy. Maybe it does in Asia, maybe in Taiwan, I don't know. But here, if you keep your head down and you do your job well, then yeah, you might get some promotions, but you'll just get more work, most likely. And the money won't keep up with how much you're contributing. If you just do a good job, but you don't say anything, likely you won't get anything and they'll just keep you where you are and nothing extravagant is going to happen. The truth, at least in my world, from my experience, is, what is it? The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? The more people talk about how great they are or what they accomplished, the more people do notice. Even if people aren't doing a great job, if they say they're doing a great job, some people will believe them. And sometimes it's the decision makers that believe them. So from my experience, it's not just about doing a good job at work. You kind of have to make it known. And if you're an introvert and you don't like to brag, it's not really about bragging, but you need to make it known so that you take credit for the things that you've done. And you do also have to put yourself out there, even though it is uncomfortable, and say, I want this. Of course, you could try and make it reasonable, but you do need to ask if that's what you want. Because people don't just give you stuff like they know what you want. At least, yeah, that's my take.
That makes sense. So it's almost like it's half marketing, essentially. Like you can do a good job, but if you don't promote yourself, promoting like meaning, like communicate like the work that you're actually doing and it just slides under the radar, they could take advantage of you and be like, oh yeah, they're doing good work, but the squeaky wheel is not getting the grease, right?
Yeah. The silent hard worker does not get the reward.
Right. Great for the CEO and great for the owners, but not good
CEOs
for that person.
love the
They
silent,
love those,
non-complaining worker. It is the best. I would hire 1,000 of them.
Right.
And then you have if you have a great performer who's also loud as in they'll just keep asking for more.
Yeah.
Sure, you'll give it to them, but at some point it's too much.
It'll
like
max
it's not
out,
worth. Yeah, it's not worth it. Which is why you switch jobs every 2 years.
So Alex is the complainer who switches jobs and gets the promotion.
I don't complain, but I do
money.
consistently look for additional opportunity, and when it's not there, they're not going to give it to me because they probably felt like they gave me a lot already.
Yeah.
Then I leave.
Yeah. No, I like that, and I subscribe to that too. I recommend that because I did the same thing, which was like I was always looking for the next opportunity. Obviously, I was trying to grow and get better at stuff.
Yeah.
But still keeping my eyes open for the next door. And then when you make that jump, it sets you up for the next one. And so being intentional about that career path or journey or hops, I feel is very important. That would set you apart. Yeah. Okay. I think that should be it for the career stuff. Any last thoughts on that you think would be valuable to the audience?
Nothing comes to mind.
Yeah. No, that was solid, honestly. Guys, just repeat that if you're curious about how to leapfrog the career game, because that's actually really practical, tactical advice. All right, last topic is relationships and dating insights. So we don't have to cover everything here, but my first question is easy. Give us some context on your relationship dating journey thus far, because you mentioned this is one of the topics you want to talk about.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that this is relevant to because dating in this day and age is kind of tough.
Yeah.
For me, I was in a relationship starting in college. It was pretty long term, 6.5 years, ended with no engagement or anything, even though that's where I was hoping to take it. And then just many years of being single and chasing the feeling again, right? Chasing the feeling of being wanted, chasing the feeling of being in a relationship, wondering if I'm going to end up being alone. And I guess I'll just summarize it where there was a good chunk of time where I was actively dating and looking and not really focusing on looking inward. And then there was one year where I said, I'm not dating at all. I'm not going to do any dating. I'm not going to look at anyone like that at all. And I'm just going to focus on being alone and trying to come to terms with being okay with it. I think what was happening at the time was, since I was such an extrovert, maybe the extrovertedness came from not wanting to be alone, but I always looked for opportunities to hang out with people or to be in a relationship. And even though I was still, everyone has their criteria, it's not like I was dating anyone, but I was definitely looking for a certain something and worried that I might not find it. So that year that I took off, I think really helped me center, sounds so cliche, I center myself. Center myself.
I
found myself.
I found myself within myself.
Ew. But I got to the point where I thought to myself, if I don't find anyone, this is actually not bad. And I think that was really what I was looking for, to get to that point. And I hope that everyone gets there at some point too.
I like that. For me, how I interpret that sort of mode of figuring out how to be alone, sending yourself so that that's your default, is like a detox from needing to get validation from someone, wanting to be with you, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's very important to understand. I think we talked about that on Alex Kristal's episode as well, which is kind of like the power of solitude, like being on your own. And that can reveal to you your own self-awareness of what you really want to do, because now it's an unfiltered version of yourself that's not influenced by like your desire to be with someone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that a lot. I guess my next question was, how has your perspective of being alone changed over time? And what do you think what should people think about while being in this phase of being single? I don't know if that question makes sense.
Can you ask it again?
Yeah. I guess for someone who wants to get to that point where they're like, okay, I'm good. If I'm alone, if I'm by myself, like I'm chill with this. How would you advise someone get to that point? I guess especially for extroverts, right?
Yeah.
Harder.
I think I started to look at what my motivators were for doing things. Thinking, am I trying to hang out with people because I just don't want to be by myself, or am I hanging out with people because I think it's fun? Right? There's nothing wrong with going out, having drinks, doing things because you think it's enjoyable, but are you doing it just because you're trying to avoid something else? And so for me, I think it was maybe like a small percentage was I'm just trying to not be lonely. And of course, like part of it was, let me put myself out there because I am single. Right. So I need to put forth the effort and put myself out there, at least be out in the world so that I could give myself a chance. No one's going to break into my house and tell me they want to date me. Right. So I have to be outside.
Hey, you never know. That could happen.
I mean,
Alex, date me. You're so attractive. I broke into
hot chick is going to break into
Don't
my
arrest
house
me,
and
but we should date.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be cool, right?
That is.
It doesn't work like that. So yeah, I was trying to put myself out there, but at the same time, I did think, okay, well, is it for the right reasons? And so I had to think about that. And then I think part of it was also just thinking about who I really valued. When you do that reset, you go, everyone has a list of what type of person that they want to be with. I think it was just hitting a reset, and you put your building blocks back of the top things that you really find to be the most important. And then what I realized is that list was still not right. I'm actually happily in a relationship right now, which is great. Very, very lucky. But I realized that I think the thing that I was looking for is still different from what I ended up with. And it's still great. Right? It's not like I needed everything on that list. I think that list was still too long before.
So do you have any examples of, okay, so you're saying the list, you reset, you made a list, but it still wasn't right. Maybe could you give examples of what wasn't right about that list? And or what do you think the correct, quote unquote, correct list is? I'm sure it's personal, right? But
yeah, I am tempted to say that there is no correct list because...
How did you know it was wrong then?
Because there was a list. I think that the list was already wrong. Because
having the list.
Yeah, or like expecting everything to be checked off on the list is already wrong. Because no matter how you build the list, it's not going to be what you end up with, I think. At least the majority.
So it's having this long list of expectations is likely not going to work out.
Right. I think it's fine to say these are things that are very important to me that are non-negotiables, but it can't be more than 3. Like you need to calm down and just know that there are some things that you think are non-negotiables that should absolutely be negotiables. Because I think some people put it in the wrong category.
Do you have some examples of those things?
Yes. So one for me was as more of an extroverted person who really loves concerts, live music, and just like festive type environments. I always wanted to be with someone that could enjoy those with me. And my current girlfriend is quite introverted. And so it's not like she won't go to those things, but there's a limit to how long she could be in that environment before she gets kind of tired and she can't hang. But I'm always the type that's, let's go till the end, right? Let's have fun all the way. Maybe I take a little too far and I have one too many drinks and I'm getting old, so I should stop doing that anyway. But I thought that I wanted to share that sort of life with somebody. But yeah, that's definitely not a non-negotiable. I think there's a lot that people can offer in terms of value if they don't necessarily share all the same interests as you, even if it's an interest that you find to be very important to you. There's still other ways that people can provide value to you that you probably haven't even placed that high on your list. So that's what I mean by you might be surprised at what you swap out from your tops list.
Do you have an example of, in your opinion, 2 or 3 really solid things that you think are good to have on that list?
I think I'm a little bit older, so I'm not in my 20s anymore. I definitely dated quite differently at the time. But in my 30s, the main thing is, how do you see your future? Right? Not even who do you want to date right now? It's not who do you want to date right now. It's who do you want to be with later? And so I think being aligned on the future that you're going to have is really important. Of course, like the question of kids is very important. Do you want to have kids or not have kids? Religion is usually a big topic. If people are very religious and someone's not very religious, then does the not very religious person feel like there's pressure to be religious as well? So those are the values that I think are pretty important.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like mine would probably be similar to that too. It's what are your long-term goals? Are ours aligned? Like, what do you see for yourself at our age, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, religion. And for me, I guess I don't know. I feel like I really highly value health or taking care of yourself.
Yes.
Because if I want to marry this person and have kids with them and they're going to be the mother of my children, I would want them to also have the same values of like longevity and taking care of ourselves so that we can be the best versions of ourselves for our family. So yeah, I agree with that. I feel like thinking those long terms is different than if you're just younger in your 20s or whatever and you're just like, I just want to date someone who vibes and chemistry and spark
vibes.
and like
if you just
feelings.
Date for vibes.
Exactly. Or we love to, like in Alex Cristal's episode, like playmates, right? Someone you can have fun with, go to raves with or whatever. Maybe at that time of your life, that's what you want. You want someone to have fun with. Yeah. But then at different stages, you want someone else for different reasons.
I think I heard this. Maybe it was on another podcast somewhere or a radio show or something. Radio show. Wait, hold on. I just dated myself.
It's too late.
No. It wasn't from a radio show.
From the 60s.
My radio show. But I almost lost my train of thought. Sorry. It was the idea where your significant other has to be everything for you. Right. It has to be your playmate. It has to be your lover. It has to be your caretaker. I don't know, the person that you love and do all the things with. So for me, I learned over time that that's not necessarily it. They're your partner and you can still have friends. It sounds weird. Friends that are playmates.
Right. Yeah.
Like your friends, you could play with your friends. Your friends are there to help you have a good time and to explore the interests that you have, and that's why you have different types of friends. And then your partner is there for life. It's more life stuff. And hopefully you can still have fun. It's not all business.
Right.
But
Yeah, that's almost exactly what we're talking about on Alex Cristal's show.
Right, Alex's thing.
Yeah, the Alexes think alike. They're all about those. Well, so I was joking around with him because he's like, he's looking for a girl to have fun with, like a playmate, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, he's not looking for an intelligent girl. He's not looking for a mind mate. He's looking for a girl to play with and just shut up, don't talk, and let's just have fun.
Yeah. Just laugh with me.
Just laugh with me. I don't hear you speak. No, but like, because he was talking about how he like goes to Disneyland and movies and all that stuff. So he's looking for someone to do those fun things with.
Right.
But you don't necessarily need to have your partner also be your mind mate or your helpmate or whatever or something like that. Obviously, soulmate is ideal, right? Like the romantic, intimate side. But they don't necessarily need to be the other three. What you're saying too, like they don't have to be everything.
Soulmate, interesting concept.
Yeah, that was guys, listen to it if you haven't, but it was the 4 mates: soulmate, playmate, mindmate, and helpmate. And so that's how he conceptualized. He learned it from someone in Culture Shock or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was really good. I was thinking about that since the Christmas party that we had because he told me about that. I was like, dang, rent free in my head. Okay, anything else on that topic? We are just about time. I have one more question, but I don't know if you had any other thoughts on dating relationships and what they should think about.
Well, that's good for now.
Did you have anything that you learned in the realm of quote unquote understanding women?
Yeah, the main thing was in my 20s, I really thought that men and women weren't that different. I'm like, oh, we're all humans. We all have interests. We all have the same motivators. We all eat. Yeah. I thought we weren't that different. And so I approached women more like how I approached everybody that was in my life, which I learned in my 30s that it's not the right way to do it.
Could you clarify on that?
It's hard to specify what it is, but women are very different in the way that they think. One specific thing, now that I think about it, is men are typically more logical, and you can't really logic your way out of things with most people if they're more emotional.
Mm-mm.
And so I think women tend to be more emotional and less logical in certain situations. And so that was something that, and also the appeal, right? For men, the appeal for us is very logical. Why do you like that? Oh, I like it because X, Y, Z. I will tell you exactly why I like it. For women, they're like, oh, I don't know. It's the vibe. It's just, I just feel.
It just feels good.
And you're like, what do you mean? Explain it to me. And they're like, I can't really. It's just how I feel. And so you have to appeal to that somehow with a thing that they can't even explain.
Yeah.
And so that was really hard for me.
So how do you appeal to that then? What have you learned?
I still don't know.
Oh, okay. As someone who now has a girlfriend, how do you tend to appeal in that situation where you're logic and she's like more emotion based?
Okay. You just have to do things that appeal to their emotions a little bit more. And that sounds very, very broad, but you do things that you know that they'll like.
Okay.
And even if it's something that's a little bit out of the way for you or a little bit inconvenient for you, but you do it because you know that it'll make them feel happy. And for guys, I feel like we don't need that sometimes. Oh yeah, just do something simple and that's fine. But if they have a particular thing that makes them happy, that it goes a lot longer. It goes a lot further.
Yeah, I like that. I think we can end it on that. It's more just like you don't need to approach it in a logical way. Sometimes for it's generalization, right? But for women or maybe more emotional based people, you have to approach it in a way that you're trying to. The outcome is to get them to feel a certain way, and that's more influential than saying, "Well, 1 + 1 is 2, so therefore that's what it is." Right? Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. You ready for rapid fire questions?
Let's go.
Yes. First question, Billboard question, the most famous one. If you could have a sign for millions of people to see, what would it say?
It's not that serious. I'll elaborate. I don't know if there should be more on the sign, but I think most people are frustrated with things. And what I remind myself is it's not that serious. And most of the time, whatever you're upset with is not that serious.
I like it. What is one of the hardest challenges you faced in your life, and what did you learn from it?
Hardest challenge. Skip.
Nice. What is a self-inflicted wound? What's a story about something that's gone wrong in your life that was your own fault and you can't blame anyone else?
I think it was maybe with dating. I liked a girl a little too quickly, and I was too expressive about how I felt too quickly, and she wasn't ready for it. And then that's what caused the 1 year of me being date free. So good learning lesson there. But yeah, don't. Oh, that is part of it. Is logically you think if I like a girl, then I will tell her how I feel, and she will return how I feel with how she feels. Obviously. But yeah, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work like that. Nope.
Going back to the previous topic, right? Appealing to their emotions is you need to meet them where they are, not where you are.
Yeah. I like that. I could go on a whole tangent for 5 minutes about that topic, but maybe next time. Maybe part 2. All right. So if you could redo one thing, what would you do differently?
I'm pretty happy with everything.
As a thought experiment, if you could redo something.
If there was something I would redo. After I bought my house, I was trying to mount my TV.
I heard this story.
And little did I know, the wall that you're supposed to mount the TV on had water pipes right in the smack dab center.
Who put those pipes there?
Yeah, who put them there? That's just bad engineering. And so I drilled right into it and couldn't turn it off because it wasn't a domestic water line. It was a sprinkler system water line that was in a locked room. So it was going off for over an hour. And no one had a key to that room. No one knew how to turn it off. The fire department couldn't even turn it off because they couldn't get into that room. So yeah, ruined my house. Less than a month after I moved in. So yeah, don't drill into your walls.
Don't drill into your walls.
Haphazard.
Haphazardly.
Check for pipes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's a good one. If you could give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Don't compare yourself to other people. Some people just get luckier than you and they might make more money than you, faster than you, even though they're not smarter than you. It's fine. It's okay. Yeah.
I like it. In the last few years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has changed your life the most?
I think it was a combination of some of the stuff we talked about, but it was about being alone and focusing on being with yourself. And I think that attracts people naturally. And so the result of that is I'm in a happy relationship.
Nice. Yeah. I like it. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you be doing right now?
Ooh, gambling.
Really?
Just kidding. No.
You're like money. Give me money
but if
faster.
you can't fail, why wouldn't you?
Sure.
Lotto. Let's go.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, sure. I'll go with that.
If you knew you would fail, absolutely, what would you do anyway?
I think back in college, being on that dance team, I definitely almost failed physics. I think I did. I mean, I got a D or something. It was the lowest grade I've ever gotten in my life, I think. But I'd do it again because college grades don't matter unless you're going to grad school and the experiences last forever. So.
I like it. Is there anything you've been pondering recently or something that you often think about deeply?
I think it's just how do I get to my next goal? How do I attain what I want?
What is your next goal?
Bigger house.
Okay, well.
Yeah. Like how to make more money. It's the thing that everyone stresses about.
Yeah.
It's not actually very interesting. But yeah, it's what everyone deals with.
It's all good. Do you have a favorite hot take or something that you think most people won't agree with? Besides the whole college thing.
Oh, that's not contentious enough.
I don't think so. At least not for my podcast guests.
Nothing's coming to mind.
What is one of the best or most worthwhile investments you've ever made in either time, money, or energy, etc.?
Time, money, or energy. I want to avoid the cliche health is wealth thing, but I do think that taking care of your body is very important.
Yeah.
Can I switch it a little bit and say these are the things that I bought that saved me time and I love them?
Yeah.
Okay, one, I bought this thing that you attach in your toilet where you wave your hand and it flushes for you. And it is life-changing. I really hate pressing the thing to flush the toilet now. Yeah. And coupled with that is, of course, a bidet. You know, everyone needs a bidet. If you go bidet, you can't go back to not bidet. So, yeah.
I like that. When Alex was first still like building out his house and getting all this stuff, I was following his Instagram stories and he showed the toilet thing, the automatic flush, like you just wave your hand over it. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. That is so useful.
Yeah, you don't know how helpful it is because you think, it's just you just do that. Thing, why is it so hard? But when you just wave your hand instead,
like, wow, you're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah,
I like it. Well, I guess on that note, favorite recent purchase under or in $50 to $100 range that has impacted your life the most in the last 6 months?
So I have a friend who's an optometrist. Shout out Janine. or aspiring as optometrist. She's in school right now. But everyone looks at screens all the time. Your eyes get really dry. And her suggestion was to get a eye warmer thing. So you can buy, it looks like goggles.
Okay.
And it's like it heats up a little bit so that it helps with the oils in your eyelids and it unblocks your ducts.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty helpful. And you just use it a little bit. Even in massages, if you get different ones. That's been pretty helpful to help with dry eyes.
Oh, okay. Dry eyes. Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. Eye massager mask. Warmer.
Well, I mean, that sounds lovely.
Yeah.
I can imagine that.
It's great.
All right. Last rapid fire question. Favorite books, movies, videos, articles, or media that you share or recommend the most?
There's a podcast that I listen to a lot. It's called All In. It's where I get a lot of my political news, even though I'm not super interested in that part. But they do a lot of startup news and stuff that's happening in tech. And so when I was starting in the company that I am at right now, I think I wanted to better understand the language that they speak in. They're always talking about ROI and COGS and gross margins and all that, whatever. So I wanted to better be able to speak like them, or at least understand what the heck they're saying. And when I first started listening to their podcast, I feel like I understood half of what they're saying. And now it's gotten a little bit better. So that's one that I do quite like. I think it's full of very smart people that are influential in just corporate America and even in politics. So that's one.
All In. Okay. Anything else?
Podcast.
Media recommendations across the board? Anything else?
Media. Nothing that's edifying, just entertaining. Yeah.
Did you have any come to mind?
I watch too much Netflix and anime. It's too many.
Okay. Top anime.
Top anime right now?
Top anime rec.
Or ever.
That you would give right now.
It's hard to think because I'm in the middle of watching Black Clover. I think it's okay.
Okay.
It's good. It's getting there.
Yeah.
But some of the tops, I liked Solo Leveling a lot. The pace of it's actually almost not okay.
What do you mean?
If every anime was that well animated and paced that quickly, it's almost like we have this issue with too much dopamine already.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Right? We don't have the
too
patience.
Much. Like, it's great, but it might be too much.
We don't have the patience for any other anime after that.
Like
because we think,
breaking the standards too much.
Yeah, let's hurry up. Let's get to the fight.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to listen to this backstory, right?
Yeah.
Solo Leveling, they don't care no backstory.
Yeah. I'm just going to stab this next monster and level up.
Yeah, let me just punch him through this wall.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
I love it. It's a good rec. I like Solo Leveling.
It's so good.
Cool. All right. That is it for rapid fire questions. Then we'll go to ending questions. So gratitude. We like to end with gratitude. Shout out to my mom. Alex, what are you grateful for?
I am so grateful for the people that support me, the people who care about me, the people who ask me how I'm doing. I hope that I could keep those people around as long as I possibly can, even though, people kind of have their own things that they have to focus on different stages of their life. So grateful for them and my family.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not your girlfriend.
And my girlfriend.
I'm just kidding. I'm just throwing her under the bus. Any final ask from the audience or takeaways that you would like them to have from this conversation?
I just hope everyone has some sort of takeaway from this, that there's a lot of stress happening in the world all the time. And it goes back to the billboard thing, which is it's probably not that serious. So hopefully everyone just focuses on being happy and focusing on the things that honestly make them happy, not just the superficial things that make them happy, and try to keep those as close to themselves as possible.
I love it.
Yeah.
So not the superficial cars.
I like
it. Yeah, I mean.
But yeah, that's not what makes me happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not really.
It's nice to have.
It's a nice to have. It's a nice to have.
I get you. Cool. All right. Alex, where can we find you if people want to connect or see what you're up to or whatnot? Any social media handles, websites, emails, etc.?
Yeah. My social media is Hung On Life. Yes, sir.
Nice.
It is a private profile, but if you DM me, I will respond if you're not crazy.
We're not crazy.
You can also find me on LinkedIn. and I will have a very outdated photo of myself, just like the title card of this episode is a very outdated photo of myself because I don't take pictures of myself.
It's okay. I don't either.
Yeah.
It's all good. We'll link his socials. You can go hit him up if you want to break into his house and ask to date him. We'll see how that goes.
I don't need that anymore.
He doesn't need it anymore,
Happy.
but it would surprise him. So
I would be very surprised.
anyone has the same sense of humor as I do, go for it.
Yeah.
All right, Alex. Well, that is it. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, hopefully we can do a part 2 sometime with the whole gang in the other studio. That was my dream goal for season 5 or 6. So we'll see if that happens.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah. All right, so my final sign off for the audience. This is where the music plays. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. Be sure to like, subscribe, whatever you guys do, wherever platform you're listening to this. I really appreciate it. Yeah, just share it out if you enjoyed this and let me know what you liked about it and I'll respond. And then just a reminder to be kind to other people, especially yourself. And reminder that you can always learn something from someone if you take the time to listen. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for listening.